Well, welcome to Red Rock, and thanks for checking out Cars, Shops, and Collections. Today, we're going to Hodson Motors, where they've got vintage trucks, they've got lifted trucks, they've got rare rides, and the thing is, they're all rolled into one. I think you're gonna love this episode. So Riley and his dad, they've been building trucks since like 2015. They've got a shop in Las Vegas, but we're going to their private collection. Their builds are just bonkers. And the thing is though, this is so cool. They love their fans. They do these giveaways. They'll do a build and then they give it away. And so later on in the episode, you'll find out how you can win one of their crazy builds. Oh, look at this, this is a C8. Nice. Oh, there's Riley. Dude, what is up, man? This is beautiful out here, man. Dude, this is awesome, man. And that's today's episode. It's good seeing you. I can see a Jeep back there. Dude, how's it going, man? Dude, it's nice to meet you, brother.
Hey, I'm Riley Hodson, owner of Hodson Motors. Welcome to our truck ranch.
Dude, I'm so excited.
This is fun.
See what's back here, man.
We got a lot of good stuff. We got a lot of weird stuff, a lot of unique stuff.
Well, how did this all start, by the way?
So I was attending UNLV a couple years back, and my dad had started collecting some trucks. Growing up, he never had anything. You know, he owned a plumbing company here in Las Vegas. We're Las Vegas locals, like three generations deep.
Yeah.
And I went off to serve a mission for my church down in Honduras. I was down there. When I came back, he was like, hey, I kind of started collecting some old trucks, and would you help me while you're going to school? And I was like, sure, whatever. And he like hands me his title book, and he had like 50 titles.
Really? And you had no idea that
no idea that was happening. So we started there, and it was just purely hobby. It was just him and I, and then we were just working with local shops here around town.
Yeah.
And I was just part running and moving around town and stuff like that. Didn't know anything. Wasn't a mechanic. Didn't have any clue. And then it's just kind of morphed and changed and turned into this.
Morphed into this.
Yeah.
This is just holy cow.
So, this is the truck ranch. We call it the truck farm.
They each have their own little tents.
Little tents, yeah.
Oh my gosh, Riley, this is nuts, man.
So up here in Calico Basin, you can in all of Clark County, you can only have two buildings per one piece of land.
Oh,
and so
okay.
They're building a spare home over on this other section of the property, and so we can't put in a full garage back here. So what do we do to get away with it? Tents.
You got tents?
Tents and a lot of sheds.
Oh,
so these are all sheds that are built in, and then a bunch of tents to protect the trucks.
This is incredible, man.
So that's cool. So this is where we store everything finished. Our shop is over in the Centennial area of town where we do all our work and work on all these trucks. And then when something's finished and we just want to run it and drive it, we come up here and park it up here.
Beautiful.
Now it is cold, and so I don't know if everything's gonna start.
Cold start, okay.
We don't know. It's always fun.
It's a cold start of Big Red. Just look at the size of it. Come on, Big Red.
Come on, baby.
Come on, Big Red.
Batteries are low. She gonna start.
Come on.
We got it! That's a cold start.
There was an added effect to it too, walking through the exhaust.
Okay, so this is our 1969 Ford F800 crew cab that we call Big Red. A very, very unique truck.
Yeah, it certainly is. How long did it take you to put this thing together?
This was probably a 2-year build, and I love to give credit where credit's due. We worked with a lot of different shops around town to get this thing finished, but it's very unique. So the cab itself is an F250, Ford built. This is Ford's second ever crew cab. They started building crew cabs like back in '65.
So right here, this is the Ford, this is the F250.
Yeah, this is the F250,
okay.
just the cab itself.
Right here, all right,
But back in the day, in classic trucks, the cab never changed. So like an F100 all the way up to an F800 was the same cab. So you could really interchange parts really easily. So the cab is an F250, but we wanted to build what would look like if Ford were to build an F800 medium-duty truck with a truck bed. So we wanted it to look very, very, very factory-esque, and so that's what we ended up here with Big Red.
But so back in the day, though, they were like dump trucks, hauling trucks, the F800.
Yeah, so if you would have saw an F800 or an F700, it would have been just a single cab, and it would have had a dump truck or a U-Haul box on the back, or they were medium-duty work trucks, but they never made a crew in this year.
How do you get fenders this wide, this big?
Massive? So these are 2 sets of fenders cut and grafted
Are they really
together. Yeah,
put together?
So and we do that on a lot of our trucks. See that on other trucks. Most trucks require multiple sets of fenders to build them this big.
Anything back here original
Yeah,
off the truck?
so almost everything from the bed back is all custom. So the bumpers, the tailgate, the bed itself, it's all built to custom proportions because we wanted it to be really big to match those massive front fenders, the F800 front fenders in the front. So just a massive bed. You could put a small sports car in this bed. I think.
Really could.
You probably could. I have a original Mini Cooper, like a Austin Mini.
Yeah.
And we want to just pick it up and put it in the
Put
bed.
it in the back
just because.
Can we see the inside?
Yeah, let's check it out. Pop her open.
Check this out, Lance.
So she's run a King Ranch interiors, King Ranch seats, but then custom dash and center console and everything, and seating for 5. And
Where do you get like the King Ranch interior?
eBay.
eBay?
eBay is a great resource for people.
So you just found the seats, the whole interior, and boom, you're done.
Yep. People do that all the time. They'll take a wrecked vehicle and they'll pull the interior off. It's good. Put it on eBay and snag them up and bolt them in.
How long did this whole thing take?
This was about a 2-year build. We bought so I think the most interesting part about the truck is the chassis. This is sitting on a Freightliner FS65, if anyone's interested, which is a short bus chassis. So yeah, like Freightliner made short buses, and this is what this chassis is out of. So it's a 6-ton chassis, 6-ton rear end. It's got airbags in the rear and 4-link suspension in the rear, so it actually rides pretty nice. Really, really heavy-duty steering and brakes. It brakes on a dime. I feel like if you slam on the brakes, you probably pop a nose wheelie. It's massive, so.
It's just, it is
huge.
insane looking at this thing.
It is just absolutely massive. Engine is a 24-valve Cummins, 5.9 Cummins, and then transmission is an Allison 2400 6-speed Allison transmission out of like a medium-duty GM truck today. So it's a modern transmission, modern engine.
And do you think this is kind of like your poster child?
Yeah, this is. Yeah. When we first started posting on social media, like I told you, this was all hobby between my dad and I, and we had this truck finished. And probably about a year later, so I think we were doing this for about 3 years, and then about a year after we finished this, I started posting on social media just for kicks and giggles. I had been really off social media for like maybe 5 years at that point, and I was like, well, I had a buddy who was like, dude, you got to start posting.
Yes.
Like, this is the coolest stuff ever. He's an automotive photographer, and he was like, dude, people are gonna lose their mind when they see this stuff. So I just like made an Instagram account, called it Hodson Motorsports at the time, and just like was posting pictures of our trucks for kicks and giggles.
And then
this one blew up really quick.
Yeah, I could see how.
So
how often do you drive them?
I try to take each one out like for a week per seat, like in the season.
Okay.
Now in the summertime, it's so hot that like even though like the diesels will never overheat, they just don't overheat. They stay cool forever, and but the gassers, they have an issue just in the summertime because it's so hot here.
Yep.
But like fall, winter, spring, I try and get each vehicle out for a week at a time and get them out, run them through their paces, make sure everything's good. Especially because sometimes my family members want to come drive it. I have other friends in the industry, if they come to town for a show and they want something to drive, I'll let them drive it. And I used to do that for SEMA. I'd let like 3 or 4 of our vehicles go for SEMA for the whole week, and they drive them all week long, like influencers, whatever, come take them for the week.
Yeah.
But now I put on a tour up here, like for journalists and stuff. They'll come up and we'll put on a tour, and we'll take all the vehicles out. We'll go cruise all the way out to like Bonnie Springs or whatever, and come back. So.
And then how many? You had a couple of vehicles at SEMA this past year.
Yeah, I had 2 trucks at SEMA.
How do you decide which ones go to SEMA? Just based on companies you work with?
The sponsors and whatever they want to take. And so I used to be real big into when we were starting the giveaway process to try and save money. I was always hitting up sponsors trying to get sponsored parts. Now it's not so much, just because I almost feel like the amount of work you put in to get the sponsor is like way more monetarily than what it would just cost just to spend $500 and buy the part. You know,
Look at this guy. He thinks he has a big
he
truck.
thinks he's got a big truck.
You
Yeah.
think that's big?
Look down through your moonroof.
Look at us. Yeah. Well, there's so many things to see here, and we could spend literally all weekend out here. But I do want to break down a couple of your Jeeps.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Over here, the far left, is that the JR10?
Yeah, this is the Viper Jeep. We call it the JRT10 because
Okay.
it's built with a lot of SRT10 parts, but J for the J truck. This is the first build my dad did. This is built in tandem with a lot of local shops like Nefarious Customs and Air to Find and Redesign Upholstery. A lot of cool shops in town had a hand in this. This is a tube chassis in the rear, 4-link front and rear, 1 tons. But it's got a Viper swap, and so this is what everyone's so stoked about, is the Viper V10 under the hood.
This has a V10,
Yeah.
what, 500 horsepower?
Yeah, something like that, yep.
Holy smokes!
Yeah.
How do you decide to put a Viper motor
You know,
inside this thing? Was this done before? Did your dad do this?
no, we did this all.
You did this
Yeah,
together?
he bought this as just he bought this when I was still in Honduras, and it had the inline 6, the factory inline 6. It was just a factory J truck step side, and he was like, man, I want to make this thing super cool. So yeah, this is a really, really long-term project. One of those trucks that you kind of never finish. You finish one thing and then something else breaks, or you want to change something else, and you can just keep going and keep going. So
Can we pull this one out?
Yeah, let's pull it out.
Okay, let's pull it out. Is it cold start too?
No, this will be fine.
All right, here we go.
Gasoline starts easy. It's the diesels that have a hard time.
So yes, so many questions about this.
Yeah.
I want to start with the color too, because I
Yeah.
love the color of this. Very sporty. Tell me more about the color.
So the color's a custom one-off that we did with the shop who did the paint and body and all the suspension work is a shop called Nefarious Customs. And Cameron is the owner over there. Cameron Shin is his name, and him and my dad were just working, and he was just a small little shop, and they were just doing all the fun suspension stuff, and I was on my mission, and my dad sends me an email like, hey, check this thing out. It was done, and it was in primer, and he wanted to paint it turquoise. I was like, no, Dad, listen, there's this really cool Lamborghini color.
Okay.
And so I found a picture of this satin blue Lamborghini on Google Images, and I copied the image, I sent it to him. I was like, this is what we got to do.
Yeah.
So we just mixed and mixed and mixed until we
you
came up with
can't
what we like.
it's not
You
easy
can't
to get Lamborghini paint
yeah,
codes.
you can't
or
get the
anything.
paint codes
Yeah.
or anything. So
you guys,
we're like, well, we'll base it off that.
You Frankenstein the paint codes and got it.
Yeah,
It's so
absolutely.
cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of cool bodywork on this as well. So like these fenders are 3 inches wider. The front fenders are 3 inches wider to clear 38s, and
What is it, 83 or 84?
this is an 83,
83?
Jeep J10. We call it the JRT10. So it's got SRT10 seats. The motor and transmission are out of an SRT10.
Come around, take a look on the inside.
Yeah, check out the interior.
So you kept the Viper
Yeah,
dash?
yeah, and there's a lot of mistakes we made on this build, and I'm totally happy to talk about those. I actually think the Viper was a mistake. It's cool because it gives the truck a lot of character, but a Viper V10 wants to rev, and a truck wants low-end torque. And so the Viper does not have the low-end torque that a truck wants. So when you drive this thing, you feel like you're just kind of driving like a nice little stock truck until you get about above 3,000 RPM, and then you're ripping.
Yeah,
you're
you're
going
going.
way too fast for a pickup truck to be going. And you're like, okay, this is terrifying. So it's kind of funny, like an LS, like an LS3 would probably actually been a better engine for this size of a truck, just because it's got a lot of low-end torque. But it's okay, you make mistakes and you just live with it.
But you
something like
keep-
this.
you
but
kept the Viper dash
the
because
Viper
of-
stuff is, there's not a lot of aftermarket support for Viper stuff like there is for LS stuff. And LS, you can have a standalone harness and drop it in, and then you can run whatever steering column and whatever else you want. But with a Viper, all that stuff communicates. And you know, since we've done this swap, I found people who can modify Viper harnesses, and then they said, "Oh no, I could have done that for you," but you don't know, and you don't know until you know.
You learn,
yeah, exactly. So
but the main thing is though, because that way, because the controls are communicating with the
they're all-
motor,
exactly,
and you're not no hassles.
No, there's no hassles. However, it is in the plans to pull that dash out and get another factory J truck dash, and then I'll send the wiring harness out and get it remade, and eventually I would like to get this dash back to a J truck dash like you'll see like in the J60 or in the Wagoneer over there. I like the factory dash a lot better, and I'd like to do that.
On it, what is still anything original left on it?
From the J truck, just the chassis from here to here, and just the body. Everything else is all custom.
The spare tire in the back, I mean,
Yep.
obviously you want a spare tire, but is this also to kind of to hold it down?
Yeah,
a little bit as
probably,
you're going?
so I'll give you a little bit of,
Give
yeah,
weight
give you a
here in
little
the
bit of
back?
weight in the rear. I have a massive radiator, the biggest radiator we can get in the bed with 2 massive 16-inch fans. When those fans kick on, they'll pull your shirt off. It's awesome, keeps it nice and cool. Vipers are notorious for being the hottest running engines on the planet. And so it needs all the cooling it can get. So it's got nice stainless lines that run all the way up to the front of the block, but the radiator's in the bed like that, and
gas back here?
yeah, fuel goes in the
back here?
in the center of that, but yeah, ton of custom work, and a really cool truck.
I love this
and
truck,
a lot
man.
of fun to just go mob off road, go hit the dunes, and it's a good time.
And you use your trucks, right?
We
This
do.
is just not sitting here. You're taking this
No, we
out,
do.
you're going off-roading.
Yeah, we'll go hit the dunes with this, and we go do trails. The nice thing about being up here in Red Rock is we can cruise over and go do like Rocky Gap and stuff like that right here.
Oh, yeah.
Real easy. So,
And
so nice.
I heard you also have then, is it you Frankenstein a Wagoneer
Yeah.
and a
yeah.
J10?
Yeah. So
And you put them together.
we do love J trucks,
Uh-huh.
and so Jeep made, just for a little backstory, Jeep made a crew cab truck in Australia in the 70s and 80s, and it was a J20, and they're worth just a ton of money. Like just a body alone's worth probably $150,000 for these J truck crew cabs, but they're impossible to find. They only made them in Australia, or they only sold them in Australia. And so we were like, well, let's make our own. So we took a Wagoneer, which is the same thing as a J truck, but it's a 4-door wagon. So we took a 4-door wagon and we chopped the back end off, and then we took a J truck and we chopped the back end of that off and put them together to come up with that truck right there.
This one right here.
And then we set it on a Super Duty chassis, diesel chassis, and made it a dually and made it weird. So real Frankenstein, real cool. I'll pull it out.
All right, pull it out. Oh my gosh, this is a treat, man. This is so cool. Have you ever seen anything like this before? Out of all these trucks, seriously, your thoughts, drop them in the comments below, because this is just, it is so cool to see this. So where'd the split happen?
So the split happened right here at the back door, and we have a Wagoneer that we'll show you, just so you guys have a little bit more, insight into what happens. But normally a Wagoneer has the fender that runs through the door, so, we grafted together the doors to make a full back door, but then the graft would have happened right here along this body line, and that's where the J truck got welded on, and there it is. So this truck is our longest build. This was an absolute brainchild of my dad's, our biggest Frankenstein monster. But it is very cool. It's a blast to drive. You could drive it across country because it's sitting on a modern Super Duty F450 chassis. So super heavy duty chassis. This has a 6-liter diesel, which a lot of people see as a notoriously unreliable diesel. However, they can be made to be reliable, but in a toy like this, they're awesome because they're like some of the funnest to drive diesels. They sound incredible. They're probably the coolest sounding diesel, and they make great power. But yeah, so it's a real toy and it's really cool, and there's a ton going on here. We could really spend a lot of time on it. But so that's the original Jeep dash in there and everything.
Check this out, Lance.
So yeah, so this is so I really do love the upholstering here. TMI seats, Ian's Auto Upholstery, they did the custom center console for me, dash pad, everything else. And all the amenities like Bluetooth radio, digital gauges, vintage air conditioning, and seating for 5.
How much horsepower in this?
It's probably got 300 horse, but maybe like 700 torque. Dang. So these old diesels are torquey little guys, and they run good. They're great for trucks, great for pickups because they've just got all the torque in the world. But yeah, just a long-term project to get it done. A lot of shops had their hand in this.
Yeah, so when it comes to like putting this together, how much hands-on are you doing, or are you outsourcing different?
I outsource a lot of work, but as my shop now continues to grow and grow and grow, we do a lot more at my shop. But again, most of the stuff started when my dad and I were just hobbyists. Yeah. And so it was just moving around town. So yeah, a lot of shops had their hand in this to help out between. I've got a good friend who's a really good wiring expert, and he's a diesel mechanic, and so he was able to figure out this Super Duty wiring harness so that we could run our factory gauges, and we didn't have to, do the same thing we did on the Viper truck because we didn't like that. Yeah. So he figured that all out to get this to run, and not need its factory gauges in the factory steering column. Again, Nefarious Customs, the same people who did that one's body work, they did the body work on this, and it turned out great. And it's spectacular. It's a lot of work. It's really cool. It runs and drives excellently. this roll bar in the back. This is the same roll bar that you'd see on the green truck. We do this roll bar in a lot. It's not made of tube. That's actual Schedule 4 pipe. So that's like incredibly heavy duty. It probably weighs 500 pounds. If we were to roll this truck, that literally could save the truck.
This is the lifesaver right here.
It's super heavy duty. These rear fenders, when we talk about fenders, this rear fender is that same fender over there. And that fender was stretched 3 inches. This fender was stretched 12 inches, but we stretched it in 3 different spots. It got like 6 inches added here, an inch added here, and 3 inches added here, so that you got, 12 inches across the whole entirety of the thing, or 10 to 12 inches. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it did get stretched a lot so that you didn't just get like a normal looking fender with just a big fatty gap in the middle. It all looks proportional.
It certainly does.
And so these are fiberglass. They were fiberglass from the factory. We made a mold of these so that if we ever got in an accident, we didn't have to rebuild them. We could just remold them out.
The Jeep back here.
Yeah, the Jeep emblem in the bed, and
looks good.
And and there's always dingleberries. Like my license plate came off the other day, and I lost the bolts and I had to drive it the other day. I was like, well, we'll put some blue electrical tape on there until I go get some bolts.
It's fine. No one noticed that.
Hey,
no one knows
there's
that.
no. The guy who says he's got a perfect classic is lying.
You're always working on it.
You're constantly working on it.
Let's do one more.
Yep.
Your choice.
Well, that's our most recent truck. This is probably the truck that gets the most amount of attention is this one, but that one's out. So let's just mess with it.
Okay,
it's
perfect.
awesome. It's very rare. Probably our rarest
By the way,
truck.
that's gorgeous.
The Wagoneer's
Yeah,
great.
Wagoneer's gorgeous.
The Wagoneer's really cool. That's coming back to the shop because I'm putting 1-ton axles underneath it.
Okay.
So half-ton axles under it. Now we're gonna put 1 tons under it. And
also too, before we get into the last vehicle here, you do these giveaways. You guys who do builds. You just said that's Suburban. I saw. How does that work? How do you decide to do a giveaway and someone's watching? How do they win one of your builds?
So again, like I said, when this was all hobby, and I was just posting on Instagram a lot. I had another Jeep truck like the J10. It was orange. It was a Honcho, which was like their top of the line truck. It was
Honcho,
awesome. So, and I loved that Honcho. It was a great build, and it was really high quality, but it was just kind of like an OEM plus build. There was something super custom about it. But I was only listing it for like 25 grand. It wasn't crazy expensive. And I just could not sell this truck. Just couldn't sell it. And one guy was like, well, why didn't you give it away? And I was like, I can't afford to give away this truck. I got to sell this thing. He's like, no. Like look into what the Diesel Brothers do. Do a giveaway like that. So I looked into it, and the Diesel Brothers are a company up in Salt Lake, and they give away like new modern diesels. But they held a seminar here in town, and I had a friend go to the seminar, and he sent me all the information afterwards. And I just looked into it, and I said, I'll give it a shot. Why not? I was a junior at UNLV, and I have a degree in business management, and I was just like, whatever, let's go. Who cares? Let's do it. My wife is an e-commerce expert. She ran an online store for a long time, and she was like 8 months pregnant at the time and had quit, so she was doing nothing. And we were like, let's freaking give it a go. So we printed like 7 t-shirts and 2 hats. And I just put this truck up on our website, and people got on. And like 600 people got on, and they participated, and we lost a ton of money on it. I probably lost 10, 15 grand on this truck, after the cost of goods sold and everything. But I was like, okay, this could work.
You had the model.
I had them, I was like, this absolutely, if I scale this bigger and I get more shirts and more advertising, I can do this 100%. And that was when school became a dud. And I was like, this is a waste of my time. I was like, I got to get out of here. So, so we started giving them away. And we've done 15 trucks now over the last 3 or 4 years. And
15 trucks?
Yeah, I've given away 15 trucks. Our last one we just did was our biggest ever. We did this 86 Suburban Cummins swap.
It's gorgeous.
It was massive. The girl who won, our first female winner, she flew in from Indiana. And she's driving it home right now. From a business model standpoint, that is the business. Is I don't build for customers. I only take on people who are friends and family if they need something done. But the business model is my giveaway model. And so that's where I make all my money is off of that. And then this stuff is just hobby between my dad and I. And if somebody needs some help on the truck and I know them, or they're a friend of a friend, then they send a truck over to the shop. But the giveaway stuff takes all of my time up between maintaining these, continuing to build for my dad and I as a hobby, and then the giveaways, I'm chalked.
It's full time.
I've got like 6 guys at the shop, and that's all we do, pretty much. So
it's a cool model.
Yeah, so back to this thing. This is probably our rarest truck we own. So this is a 1956 Ford F600 crew cab that was built for an oil company back in the 50s. This would not be a Ford factory crew cab. A coach builder built this.
Okay.
But it is a very cool truck, and it is truly rusty. However, when we owned it, it was orange rust, and my grandpa, when my dad was a little kid, had a baby blue 56 F100, and my dad was like, I always wished our 56 was baby blue. And so her name is Cheyenne Ruther. She's a phenomenal airbrusher and paint and body.
This is paint?
That's paint, but she saved all the rust, all the patina, and was able to stencil in and change the underlying color from orange to baby blue.
It looks fantastic.
And so like this big rust patch on that side door, this is a real rust patch. Like that's not, and then wherever the rust hadn't eaten all the way through yet, she was able to get in and airbrush it and make it look real.
In essence, she saves the rust.
Yep.
And this was orange before?
Yeah, it was all orange.
And you painted the blue.
Painted to blue.
But it looks like blue was the original color and it's just all faded out.
All faded out.
Obviously this is
so she did a great she did a great job, and the truck is really cool. So this is another one of the really long builds, not because it's that complicated of a truck, but because we just had to, you know, a great lesson for people out there is do it right the first time. You know, like don't do it wrong, and we probably did it wrong 3 times on this thing. So this is like the 3rd rebuild, but this thing used to be slammed on airbags on the ground and didn't fit our collection at all.
No, I like the, I mean,
they're all lifted. They all got to be big.
I love the lifted look.
Yep.
Yeah, you have a theme.
Yep, it has to be themed, and so this is the theme. And so I had at the shop, I had these Super Duty 2006 axles, dually rear axle and solid front axle, and I said, why don't we just stuff those axles underneath it and make this thing lifted? And so we did, and you know, now it's 4-wheel drive, lifted. This has an old school big block 460, runs and drives excellently. We'll start it up so you can hear it. It sounds great. It's got cutouts here so it can be really loud. Upholstery is really
everything
cool.
Is street legal.
Yeah,
right?
everything's street legal.
Everything's street legal. It's registered here in the state
of
Nevada.
Yeah, they all drive great, and they all are comfortable.
Wow.
But there's a lot of cool stuff. So these are like modern amp steps that we took the step off.
Lance, come around here. Look at the interior.
I love these steps. These are old school Ford running boards, like from the 40s and 50s, and then bolted onto the top of like the amp modern steps. So you get this cool old school looking step, but with modern.
This is the real deal, though.
Yeah.
It's a real old school step.
Yeah.
Interior's
great. So we did the interior to the 9s with like full body work on the interior, so that it would be baby blue and feel nice on the inside, but leave it rusty on the out.
It's impeccable.
It's really nice. And then my dad loves to Frankenstein stuff, and so he had all these massive, you know, turnbuckles and pipe fittings and everything that he wanted to make a bed rack out of, and so we did. And the headache rack here on the bed, this is made from this is a jack stand for a train. Believe it or not, yeah. So a train would pull into the train station, it would go off to the left and go up on a taller section of train tracks, and this would be what would hold the train up. There's a train jack stand. He was like, I gotta have that for my headache rack, and it was. He's just a goofball, my dad is. He's got crazy ideas.
Yeah,
so.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm so envious.
It's very Disneyland-esque.
It really is. It's a Disneyland for trucks is what this is. What's Halloween like for you guys?
We have a good time up here. We pull all the trucks out, and they get decorated a little bit, and then he gets.
How's your costume? Your costume is just over the top. You grew up as a kid.
His is.
Oh my
gosh. He's a goofball.
You know, you want to start this one up?
Yeah, let's start it. It sounds great. Oh, that rock, yeah.
Get that rock out of there. You ready for the startup, Lance?
Yep. We'll do the mild start, and then we'll open the headers.
All right.
Yeah. Sounds nice.
How great sounding is that? That's incredible. Down here. See the lights too down here?
So yeah, sounds great. Sounds really
Sounds
great.
fantastic. Yeah.
So this is a great truck. This has a modern 4-speed automatic, and then with those modern axles, even though the engine's a little old school, it makes great power. So this thing really is. It feels like you're driving like an early 2000s truck. It does drive really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. The rear axle, so it's coilovers up front, and then on the rear it's got airbags, so it's super supple.
Smooth ride.
And rides great. So now we love it. Now it fits the collection and looks good, and we're not so worried about washing it all the time because. It's just
you don't need to.
You don't need to.
It's got a cool look.
You don't gotta wash it.
Dude, Riley, man, this is awesome, man.
Yeah, we could spend all day and
really
go over
could, yeah.
everything. There's other cool stuff just for the what do we call it, the honorable mentions. We call this the Gaucho. That's an 83 CJ7 that we made into a goofy little thing. We've got the 68 Dodge Power Wagon in there. We've got the Wagoneer in there, and then the 64 Ford F250 over there. which you
This
might
is
just
cool
throw in
too.
a little
Yeah, this
shop.
is really neat.
This is really
Yeah.
goofy and cool. Another fun Frankenstein project where we just had a lot of spare parts from doing all these builds, and it was like, let's slap a lot of crap together.
Are you more Jeep or are you more Ford?
We are everything.
everything.
We're
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
So like, I love that blue Dodge. That blue Dodge is probably my favorite truck, and I just love that thing. But I love the Fords. I love the Jeeps. I love that we have it. We're building a '57 Chevy crew cab right now. That's going to be just insane. On 40.
57 Chevy
Yeah,
crew cab?
crew cab, yeah. So that'll be up on 40-inch tires, and that thing's just wicked cool. So we're just always, I like everything. I'm not a brand purist. If I had to like pick one, if someone said, hey, gun to my head, you can only pick one, either Ford or Jeep.
Yeah.
You know, but in all honesty, I love everything. I love the old Dodges, and I always make fun of people who I always tease others who want to make fun of somebody for their brand of truck. You know, I'm like, guys,
love it all.
They all have issues.
Yep.
Every single one, pick your poison, because
Yeah.
they all have issues, and they all have their quirks, and they all have the things that are cool. So, you know, pick a preference, but everything is cool. If it's made of metal, we like it. You know, that's it.
Yeah, one love, one
Yeah,
love. Well,
absolutely.
Riley, man, thank you so much,
Thank you
man.
for coming out. This is a
treat,
blast,
man.
and
It's an
this is real
absolute blast.
fun.
And go try to win one of these too.
Yeah, absolutely. You go to our website, HodsonMotors.com, and we're always giving away something, and we take a few weeks off in between, but we're always doing something, so check it out.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you want your car, shop, or collection featured on the show, then shoot us an email at carshopsandcollections@gmail.com. That's carshopsandcollections@gmail.com. And thanks for watching, and be sure and subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes of Cars, Shops, and Collections.
Yeah.